I am a hot mess today. This is gonna be interesting, guys. Really interesting. Hi, this is Jen, and welcome to the Book Refuge. Today I'm going to be doing a review / spoiler discussion for Bound to You by Alyssa Brandon. You know, I had to bring a little friend along with me today because this book was bad. Well, first let's get into the book basics. So I'm gonna set this little disaster right over here. Okay, I guess I should say it's not a total disaster. I mean, this book had a lot of promise. So I'll start with what the premise was. And, you know, I had a feeling it might not be the best thing I ever read when I picked it up. I mean, I said that in my book haul review where I had bought this book, and I just was feeling like I wanted something a little nostalgic that threw me back to the Jenn of yesteryear who read lots of vampire and werewolf romances. So I thought I'd give it a try because it looked cute. The basics of this book are a girl named Megan, who's a werewolf. On her 18th birthday, her father holds a party for her so that she can get to know all of the alphas, and her father is throwing her a party because she needs to find her mate. Most werewolves find their mate between the ages of 15 and 20, I guess, and once you're past 18, you start to enter into the old maid territory. Must suck to be young and beautiful and be looking for your true love, you know, whatever. And at this party, she runs into a wolf named James, who is part of the warrior class of werewolves, and I guess it's really rare for them to find a mate, and he doesn't seem to be too happy that he has found one himself. So that's kind of the premise. I'll tell you that my review, I gave this book 2 stars. I'm basically gonna try to keep this review short since I don't have a lot of fun things to say about it. So yeah, that's my non-spoilery part. That's what the book is about. If that sounds interesting to you, I would never deter you from reading it. It was a fast read. There were some parts of it that were interesting, and I'll get into that in the spoiler review, but it wasn't a complete trash fire, which is why I didn't give it a 0 or anything. So this was below a like it for me, even though I saw the potential. Since I haven't reviewed a lot of books, nobody would know how I feel about my rating scale, and for me a 2-star means there was possibly potential for it, but I didn't enjoy it, and for as short as that book was, it took me way too long to read. Okay, so that's all the non-spoilers. My rating is a 2-star. I'll go into more of the non-spoilery in my Goodreads review. If you'll want to go in there, you can check that out. Otherwise, let's get into the dirty details. All right, so my biggest issue with this book is that there was so much wasted potential. I think it had a great premise. It was a cool idea that everybody needs to find their mate, and there's this warrior class of wolves, and she finds a mate, and then he doesn't want to. And it's just so confusing what this plot wants it to be. And from the jacket cover, I see that this is Alyssa's first book, and she was a Wattpad author. Her book was picked up from there, which I always think that's so cool. So I am not, you know, poo-pooing that. It actually took a lot for me to want to do this as kind of a negative review because, I don't know, I feel like there's a stigma about that, but also I want to be really honest because, again, this channel is for me and the friends I make, and I wouldn't suggest this book to a friend. The problems I had with this is that there were way too many, like, hanging strings, and as far as I can tell, this is a singular novel. Like, everything was supposedly wrapped up in here, and I don't think it was. I think there was one string that got wrapped up, and this author left everything else open. And that is really frustrating for me because, especially if you're doing a standalone novel, I'm already anxious when I read it. Like, unless it's a straight up romance where, like, the whole story will be in one, I'm already nervous going into it because I like series, and if I fall in love with the people, I want there to be more. So my main things, besides the writing style, which the writing style was not great, guys. But the way the author wrote it, it was as if she put the likes and totalies in there because she wanted you to remember that she was a teenager. And I just don't think that's so important when it's a fantasy novel, because fantasy kind of makes you stand outside of time, and it just really dated the novel, and I don't feel like it added anything. Like, it certainly didn't endear me to Megan, who I wanted to like because it seemed like a really stressful situation she'd been put into, but it did not help endear me to her. So some of the other hanging threads. So one of the main reasons that James, the mate, is supposed to not want to be with her is for two main reasons we're told about why he doesn't want to be with her. One is that his father, who is alive in the book, his father's name is Trist, and was the previous alpha of the pack. He lost his mate, James's mother, many years ago, and with warrior wolves, when you lose your mate, you go crazy. So his father is this really like lost kind of person who he's still around, but he's living half a life and he's kind of crazy. And I really liked his dad. His dad was really fun and he was a good person. But like, that is a legit reason to be afraid to be mated, because if you're the leader of this pack and you get mated and you're afraid that if your mate dies you won't be able to lead the pack anymore, or you're afraid that you'd die and she would be left as the pack leader and to be go crazy herself, like, that's a legitimate reason. It was mentioned like the first time we meet his dad and why his dad is crazy, and then it's like never brought up again as a reason. Okay, all right, maybe that's not a big deal. Second thing, the other reason James doesn't want to be with her is that he was held captive by a witch who put a curse on him to make him love her, and she abused him. It's hinted that there was sexual assault within that. It's hinted that it was for a long time, and to escape, he ended up having to kill her at the end to escape her. Again, never brought up again. She's mentioned as like her name gets mentioned by the other pack members and they're like, ooh, we can't tell you, you have to ask James about it. And then her entire explanation of her character is explained in one paragraph. And Megan's just like, oh, so that's why he doesn't want to love me. And that's it. Like, she doesn't explain anymore, and she doesn't ask him to explain anymore. She just accepts that that's what happened, and okay, why aren't you explaining this? Like, this is, I mean, it's really dark stuff, and I feel that the author shouldn't have brought that up as an issue if she wasn't willing to go into it. If she wasn't willing to talk about what that did to him to be held captive, to be forced to love someone, to be, assaulted by this person, and then to have escaped that and been trying to rebuild his life, and then to be forced into another kind of love situation, which is what they hint at, is that he's kind of looking at this as feeling as though it's another forced love. Even though you don't have to love your mate, you can still be strong and be a good couple without having to love each other. It can just be more of an arranged marriage. And like, that's a great parallel. Like, I could see why he would struggle with that, but they don't do anything with it. Like, when they decide to be together, he's just okay with it and it's over, and it's not an issue he has to work through anymore. Like, he has a problem with wanting to be touched because he was abused before. No, lots of 50 Shades of Grey things happening. Look at the cover. He doesn't like being touched, and that just goes away. The minute he decides that he loves her and that they're going to be together, it's okay for her to touch him now. Biggest thing that was an issue for me. So there is like a kind of a villain, which isn't Marisol, like, who's the name of the witch. Like, I thought that would be cool if maybe she wasn't really dead and they had to kill her or whatever. Nope, she's really dead. But there are these wraiths that feed off of humans and they cause problems in the human world, and that's why the warrior wolves exist. Is it's their job to find the wraiths and kill their nests and keep them from hurting humans and help keep the magical world secret. And that's why these warrior wolves are there, is to do that. They mention like, James fights them once, Megan almost gets hurt by them once, and then one more time, like, they fight them together. but like they're not a big deal. Like each fight with them takes maybe like half a page, and they win, and there's like no consequences from that. There's no like big, let's take down a nest together, or let's destroy all the wraiths so we can be happy. Like they don't do anything with it. And I mean, I don't know like if she does plan to write another one and that's why she left these things open, but it literally was like they have a bunch of almosts be together, and then literally when they mate at the end, literal and figuratively, yeah, then it's over. It ends with that. Like there's no wrapping up of any of those other stories. There's no plan for the future or what's gonna happen. It's just like, oh, we worked out our problems, it's over. I felt like it wasted my time. And again, like this short book took me way too long to read. It was not fun. And then it's Final Sin. And I mean, from the way this book is packaged and sold, it's sold as kind of, a little bit of smut. And I'm not saying that like, this makes me sound really bad, but I'm not saying that like it had to do that, because it is supposed to be teen romance or like teen fantasy. That maybe would have helped it. I don't know. Like if they would have had a good romance together, but I didn't feel it. I felt like neither one of them wanted it. And then they just decided to be together and everything ended. Anyway, there's my spoilery thoughts. My recommendation is that you don't read it. Sorry, Alyssa Brandon. Again, I felt like she has potential, so I would read something else she wrote. Thanks for joining me at the Book Refuge. Sorry I don't bring happier tidings today, but this was Bound to You by Alyssa Brandon. The wine helped a little, so, you know, it's getting nicer out. Maybe have a glass of wine, check it out, but I wouldn't. There's much better books to read. So, anyway, thanks for your time, and you have a wonderful day. Bye.